Hi guys, thanks again for joining us for this episode 4 of Creating 30. If you're watching here live on Blab, don't forget you can ask us questions in the chat. If you're watching this as a replay, either on Blab or anywhere else where we've repurposed it, please do go and check out and subscribe to the next show, which is at Blab.im/creating30. That's CRE, the number 8, IN30. We repurpose these out so that you can find them on YouTube and on Blab and across various different other social platforms using the hashtag Creating30, which is again CRE, the number 8, IN30. For everyone who's here in Blab, thanks for jumping in and joining us. This week we are going to be talking all about storytelling, Snapchat, and the power that lies within the platform and why it's taking off and why it's such an influential platform right now. For those of you who are in the room, we would love it if you could jump on over to the side and tell a little bird. That would be awesome. So we can get a little bit, so we can get this message out in front of even more people. Don't forget, if you want to ask us a question at any point during the show, use /Q. Use /Q and then write your question. So today we are very lucky. Every week I host this show with the lovely Sarah Moore, who's down there at the bottom. But this week we're joined by the awesome Jed Record, who is in with us today. Pretty prolific on Snapchat, so it's very relevant that he's in on the show. So, hey Jed, thanks for joining us.
Hey, glad to be here.
Cool.
Good morning to you.
So, for those of you who don't know, Snapchat as a platform is it's a great platform for telling stories. It's a good way to make you think a little bit outside the box on how to tell a story as well, because you can use photos and short form videos, and you can use a combination of those with various different filters and bits and pieces, which I'm going to let Jed talk a little bit about in a second. But you can send them, you can send messages backwards and forwards to each other, but you can also build up stories throughout the day, which we'll showcase for you. We've got a couple of links for you guys to check out, either like during the show or just afterwards, so that you know what we're talking about. So Jed, why Snapchat? Why is Snapchat the thing right now that we're getting so excited about?
Well, that's a great question. It's something I'm trying to figure out. But it is here, it is growing, and it is the fastest growing, fastest adding users network there is. So right now, the user growth on Snapchat is faster than Instagram, faster than Pinterest, faster than most any other social platform out there. And I feel like the primary reason for that is for a feature that they added last year called Stories. So the Snapchat program, the Snapchat app started, I think 3 years ago, came out, and it was primarily a direct messaging app so that you could directly message others, and it would be a message that would expire as soon as you saw the message. So you could send a picture to your friend of you on a bad hair, no makeup day, and it would instantly expire, and that message wouldn't be able to be shared around the internet. So that led to people believing that Snapchat was primarily a flirting platform, which enabled people to send semi-questionable photos to others, and knowing that they would be deleted or expired automatically. So it kind of gave Snapchat a pretty bad reputation at first. But Snapchat turned into kind of a fun, playful platform when they started adding features like being able to doodle on top of your photos, and having filters that you could put onto your photos. And when they coupled that with the ability to save some of your snaps to a public section that was called the story, that's when the Snapchat platform really started to take off beyond the teenage demographic where it had began. And so that's where we are today, is new filters, new tools to doodle and add to your snaps, and making them public so that you can share them with more than just your connected friends has really created a buzz around the platform. And I believe that it truly has come to one of the most creative storytelling platforms on social media today.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'm gonna fire over to Sarah and ask Sarah, how did you end up getting into Snapchat? What brought you to Snapchat?
I'll give you one guess. Brian Fanzo. He kept raving about it and going on about it, and I was like, it's a platform for 12-year-olds. Get over it. And I was like, I'm not 12. And I eventually hopped on it, and because he was on there and he wanted me to get on it, he kind of talked me through little bits. Like when I was like, oh, I keep missing this, or like, what does this mean, or how do I do this? He was there to answer my question, which made the user experience better for me. So like, you know, Vicky, who's sitting in here and she's like, I don't know how to use it, I don't know where to start. Like, I totally get that. And anyone else who's feeling the same, because I'm sure there'd be a lot of people in here feeling the same. Like, it's really, really hard if you don't have someone there to kind of walk you through it, or if you're not reading up on like basic how-tos. So, well, it's not really, really hard. It just, I tell you what, you need to give it like 2 weeks of solid using. Like, you need to be using it every day for like 2 weeks to get to a point where you're starting to get fluent with it, because there's so many different things you can do that you kind of forget where everything is. You forget that if you open someone's Snap and it's purple and you don't have your sound on and there's a video, you probably can't see that video again. And like just those little things I had to start remembering, because I never, ever, ever had the sound on my phone. And I would get video snaps and I would always forget to turn my sound on. Just little things like that. You can blame Brian.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's this kind of, I think you both touched on it, about the kind of preconception of what the age range of the platform is. And I know that a lot of the people that I follow are definitely not kind of those, you know, there's this idea that it's 12-year-olds playing with it and, you know, doodling and stuff. But there's actually some really, really creative uses. If you're watching the chat, I'm going to be throwing up a whole load of snap codes throughout the show, so be sure to check that out, and I'll be tweeting them out afterwards for anyone who's on the replay. But there's people telling great stories, allowing you into the kind of their day. Some people have kind of got platforms where on different days they do different things. You can see Blake there tells some great stories, and he's got some awesome use of Snapchat going on. I'm just going to drop another one, and this is actually one of my personal favorites. She tells some amazing stories, but she takes it that step further, with Jed saying about how you can now draw over the images. She actually animates a lot of her stuff. So those great stories, integrates music, and she interacts with her audience, asking them kind of the example of I'll be dropping a video link in a minute, which is the first snap that really kind of made me go, wow, this is amazing. And she told this whole story about how she'd gone out and she discovered this mythical creature, which of course was all drawn into every snap she did. So she was doing it as a combination of photos and videos. And then the music that she was integrating and playing in the background, obviously, when you watch a movie, that kind of sets the mood as well. And she's really, really done a great job of that. As well. So that snap code that I just dropped for Opera, I don't even know how you say it, Opera Americano. Yeah, definitely check that out if you're not already following us. Some great stories.
Yeah, it's Opera Americano. Her name is CJ Americano, and she just added Snapchat just to send messages back to her siblings and her friends, and then just started kind of doodling on top of them and saved them and uploaded them to her Instagram account. And then discovered that other people had been doing the same thing. And there was like a community that formed around doodling on your snaps. And then it expanded even further into storytelling. And now she and several others within the Snapchat artist community have a great time telling stories on Snapchat, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've just dropped the YouTube link there. It is about 5 or 10 minutes, and this show's only half an hour. So do grab that. I'll tweet the link out again afterwards if you guys want to go back and watch the story that kind of got me into that. So I don't know if there's anyone specific that you want to kind of call out, Sarah, that you think is doing a great job on Snapchat. I'm just going to drop a link in the side that's called the11thsecond.com. That's got a whole list of really great Snapchatters, and Opera Americano was featured on there recently. But they're actually just migrating. I went this morning to get the link, and they're migrating their website because it's getting a lot of traffic.
Yeah, so Cyrene, so the person who came up with that website, her name is Cyrene. She's in this community as well, and she and CJ are actually working together on that project on having kind of a home base for the creative artists on Snapchat. I think in the future that'll be a website that'll be a good resource. Right now, they're not really updating it at the moment. But there are some artists there. So if you're interested in the artists of Snapchat, that's a great site to see some of them. And then there's some other sites out there that are good resources that talk a little bit more on the marketing side, and we'll touch on that in a few minutes too. But there's a Medium blog called Snapchat Strategy, and I think that's moderated by Ben Phillips, who goes by the name Figo Americano on Snapchat.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty well written, or it has a number of well-written articles on Snapchat as a marketing platform, which is something that I'm studying and interested in because I think it could add a lot of value to small businesses because of the local nature of these Snap stories that show up. And we mentioned the stories. Let me just show visually to the people who are on here who may not be familiar with Snapchat. When you're on Snapchat and you swipe to view stories, so you'll swipe and you'll see these round bubbles across the top. Those are the stories. Those are paid stories like ESPN and National Geographic. And you hit it and they show advertisements, which are actually content, but it's paid content. And they're actually really quite good. So they're really good examples of how you can create short stories for the Snapchat platform. If you swipe over once more, you'll see them even bigger and bolded out, and you get to go through each of those. But underneath, there'll be some other bubbles here, and this is different depending on where you are geographically. For me, there's a story here called UNC. That's the local university here in Chapel Hill. And it's a local story which anybody can contribute to. So if you're local and you are creating creative snaps, you can contribute locally here and be viewed by everybody in your local area. To me, that's a huge opportunity for people. And you're not going to be able to create an advertisement or something and post it because it is a curated stream. But it is something where you can be creative and get some attention and doing something creative and interesting for others to see, and boom, it'll show up in the local stream, and you can get a lot of local visibility through Snapchat by creating stories.
Does that say local stream, or is that just recent update?
Okay, so the title of these bars, Discover is the top one with the sponsored stories, and then underneath it says Live, but really it's live local. So these are recent local snaps that have been curated.
I don't have that.
So
it may be that there's more features rolling out in different areas and we might not have it yet, because I haven't seen that on our side yet either.
Okay.
Classic Australia.
So poor Australia has not gotten this update yet. But for many of the North American countries, there are local stories which are curated, and that's probably why they don't have it yet, because these are curated stories. So It's not an automated thing. So there's manpower behind this, curating these local stories. Yeah. But this, I think, is very powerful for people in North America who are able to access these local stories. And maybe Victoria can tell us if they have local stories in the UK. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, and I wonder whether we can. I might jump out and jump back in and actually bring up Snapchat as my window. So if you guys want to hold the show, I'm going to leave and come back and bring Snapchat up in my window. It won't be ideal, but I'll get that going. You just give me a couple of minutes to load that up.
So, Jez, it doesn't say local. It actually says live is the title. But yeah, I'm not sure if they exist in the UK yet or not either. Okay, so not in the UK either. But I'm pretty sure that those are definitely going to be rolling out in other countries coming soon, because they're very, very compelling stories because they're relevant to the local user. And it's a way to have like user contributed content to keep people on the platform. I'm watching those local live stories almost every day, and it's really fun to watch. And it just adds to my viewing time in the app. So I'm sure that they're going to continue to roll that out to more locales. So that should be really good.
So if you want to have a look at some good storytellers, I'm just going to tell you a couple of people that I follow while we wait for Tristan.
Okay.
Need to follow Dan and More. I'm just going to type it in the chat. It's Dan and More. That's Dan Moore from Australia, and he's got a bit of an artistic side, so he's really good at drawing over the top and animating. He's traveling a lot, so that's interesting, but he's actually a really good storyteller. Some nights I have been in tears watching his snaps because he's so funny.
That's great.
So I really like watching his. Just trying to think about who else I like watching that's not already here. That's what I'm saying. Obviously, I follow Jed. Ryan, I don't know if it's Penna or Pina. I don't know how to say it, but
Pena. Ryan Pena.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Go and follow him. He does some very interesting ones sometimes. The other night, he did a whole series of snaps from start to end of making an Italian dinner, and he spoke like an Italian. It was really funny. I was laughing through it. It was really good. It takes a lot to get me to laugh as well, just so you know. I'm like the most sarcastic person on earth, but it takes a lot for me to laugh out loud. So they're probably my two main picks. I'm just going through my others to make sure. I follow Gary Vee, obviously. Everyone else is either already here or they're just an average Snapchat user. No offense. I mean, well, like I'm an average Snapchat user. I'm not going to pretend like I do anything special. It is about storytelling. If you can get better at storytelling, then you're going to be considered a good Snapchat user. And the other thing is that if you're not a good storyteller, it starts to refine that skill in you, I've found. So,
hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So right now, this is my camera running through Snapchat. So it's actually running in from my phone. So you can see if I just come back out of this, just give it 1 second to update. So for any of you who haven't seen it, the Snapchat logo is it's a yellow logo with a little ghost in it. So you can see it on my desktop, just loading up there. So if you load into it, it instantly loads your camera, because the idea is obviously to send a photo or a video or to create part of the story. If you follow my stories, they tend to be food, my feet, and finding trolleys at the moment is my thing at the moment. So you can either use the front or back cameras. Apologies for the lag on this because it's coming through on two different things. So like Jed said, you can swipe to the sides and you'll be able to see a whole load of stories of people that you're following. So just give it a second to load up there. As you can see, Brian Fanzo's in there at the top. He's obviously quite active on there. So if I load in one of the stories, you'll see what happens is it will load the story, and in the top, you won't be able to see it because it's just behind my name, but behind in the top right-hand corner of the screen, it shows you how long that snap is up for. So one thing we haven't said is if you put a photo up, you can decide how long you want it to display for when it comes up. So it can come for up to 10 seconds. If I just I'll take a snap so that we can show this. So if I've just taken a picture of the screen, so now on here, I can actually I can write on the screen, so I can either put text up, which I can then change the colors on, which obviously there's 3 different options. So you can either have it left aligned, center aligned, or in this black banner, which you can then navigate and move around up and down the screen. You can also then there's a pencil tool, which is in the top right-hand corner, just behind my name, unhelpfully. But it allows you to draw on the picture. So I'm not a very good drawer, so I'm just going to do a squiggle. But with this, now, if you can see in the bottom corners on the left-hand side, there's a little clock. So when I hit this allows me to say how long I want this photo to last for when someone opens it. So, for me, with my stories, because I repurpose them as videos afterwards, I always tend to keep my photos quite short so that the video is there. But it depends. If it's something that, has a big block of text that you want people to read, you might want to make it a little bit longer. But with that, so next to that, there's an arrow with the line, which allows you to download it. So like Jed was saying, you could come in here and use it as a tool to create a great graphic that you actually want to use somewhere else. So you could draw in, I could take a picture of Jed and draw a little crown on his head and then post it onto Facebook or Twitter, that kind of concept. There's obviously a whole load of things like you can undo, so you can take steps back and you can remove the text. One thing that I know Jed is popular in his apps is he uses a lot of the emojis. So he does this thing where he tries to hide emojis in real life photos. So you've got all your standard emojis and stuff. So you can chuck in, you can just chuck an emoji in, and you can resize it and position it to completely change your pictures. So you see here, I've just made Jed have like a big heart-eyed emoji head. So you can do a whole load of different stuff with it. And it's a combination of you can do photos or videos as well. So that's just a quick look around so that you guys who aren't used to seeing it now know what it looks like on screen. So Jed, I'm going to pass back to you.
Yeah, so as long as we're talking on the how-to side and tips for like how to use Snapchat, when sending messages back and forth to people, one of the things that people don't know is that you can actually use videos or photos that you've taken on your camera roll and send those to other people after marking them up through Snapchat. So one of the things you might do is, let's see if I can do it here, is send a message over to a friend here, and I can just load a picture that I've taken off my camera roll. Let's see. So here's a picture I just loaded off my camera roll that I took a couple of days ago, just of the sidewalk here in my neighborhood. I've loaded it up, and now I can fill this picture with emoji animals, just like I like to do, right? And although it's going to be hard to see because of the leaves, I'll try and make them nice and big so you can't miss it. And here's a good black cow. Okay, so maybe you can see some emoji animals now in the picture. And then you put some text on there. Let's go for a walk. All right, so let's take the animals for a walk, and then I can send this picture now that came off my camera roll to all of my friends or to a series of friends or just to one friend. And it's something that not many people realize you can do on Snapchat right now. So that's a short little tip that people might find interesting. You can't post it to your public story, but you can send pictures and videos from your camera roll, and you can mark them up with emojis and drawings and text just by going in to creating a new message and loading it. In the lower right-hand corner, there's an icon you press, and you can load it from your camera roll. So I recommend everybody giving that a try and trying to have fun with that.
Yeah. So one of the things we've just got about 5 minutes left. I was just going to check in and say one of the things that I think people need to understand about the platform is that this goes back to the conversation of people thinking, it's only people who are doing things or whatever using it. Is from a brand perspective. I know I've heard Brian Fanzo talk about it. It's not specifically the person who's using it. So for example, someone who's selling jeans to middle-aged women, they might not specifically be the people who are on Snapchat, but some of those middle-aged women will have teenage daughters who influence their decision. So it's actually easier to get that influencer to change the person's decision than it is for you to directly market to them. So actually, it's an indirect way to do some marketing to people as well. So some people say doesn't seem obvious for my brand. So sometimes you need to think a little bit outside of the box.
Yeah, I think in terms of the marketing discussion, that would be much longer than a half hour.
Yeah, for sure.
I think for marketers right now, the takeaway is it's a growing platform with a very valuable demographic moving towards the platform. And it is a really, really creative platform to tell stories on. And so if you are building a brand for a company, or if you are a brand manager, you need to be aware of this platform, and you need to be learning about its capabilities. I don't think we're at the point where you pull the panic button and start running campaigns on Snapchat because you don't want to miss the ride. I think it's just what we're doing right now is we're waving the flag that says, hey, pay attention. This is a platform you need to know about. You need to learn more about and get a better understanding for, so that when clients come to you, if you're an agency and clients come to you, how do we reach this demographic? That this is a tool that is a capability within your tool shed. Or if you're a brand manager and this is your area for your brand, that you understand what the implications are of being on Snapchat and what that might mean. And I think it's important for marketers to know how the application works, how they'd be able to reach people on Snapchat, and what the actual functionality is there, so they can be they can find themselves in meaningful conversations with ad agencies or management teams, telling them what the facts are on the ground around Snapchat, because there's going to be a lot of people asking questions about it in the future. And it's best that you familiarize yourself with the platform now.
Yeah, I totally agree that you kind of need to it's getting in and understanding it. This is what we were saying, is it's really important to get involved, start to learn your way around the platform, because as it kind of grows and becomes a bigger thing, if you're already versed in how to use it well, obviously that will position you like ahead of everybody else. So as you can see, I just wanted to quickly say, if you look at my screen, obviously this is how it appears when there's messages going backwards and forwards. So you can see a whole load of different icons. Like the one at the top from Victoria is, it's an image because it's a red square. So I know that it's going to be a still image, and I haven't opened it. The one below it is one that has been opened, but see that it's purple implies that it's a video. So like Sarah was saying, you'd need to know to have your audio on when you open it. And as you go down, then there's if you go down to Sarah's, the last time I communicated with Sarah was actually a message. So you can actually chat with people. So like just text backwards and forwards, which then expires as well. And then if you look on the very right-hand side, there's a whole load of emojis that give you an indication of how much you talk to the different people that are in your feed, and that tells you. So I'm guessing that this is okay to open, Victoria, so I'm going to open it now. So this is one that Victoria sent live during the show, and there you go, it loads and expires. So it's there. You can do a replay, but it's once every 24 hours. You can bring it up and replay one, which is awesome. So, guys, just bring my camera up. I feel weird not being on camera whilst I'm talking and wrapping up the show, so I'll just bring up the Snap camera. So, guys, thanks a lot for joining us again. As you know, we keep this one strictly down to the kind of half hour because we repurpose it and stuff. There's quite a few people on the side there asking if there's places that they can see this. So yes, we do repurpose it. All of the videos go up through onto YouTube. We repurpose onto other social platforms with some takeaways. But we also, I've just dropped a link on the side there that's bit.ly /creating 30 help. It's basically a form that if you needed help with a social, whatever the platform is, go there and you can fill that in, and we can send you some hints and tips as well. Because this is a half-hour show, there's only so much we can get in, but we've got a whole load more content that we'd love to give to you. So do go and check that out. I'll just drop that again in case anyone's interested.
All right. And I'll also mention that so I'm interviewing 2 brand managers this week who are looking at developing platform marketing campaigns for Snapchat. They're very big brands that you've heard of, and I'll be talking about them in my upcoming newsletter. So I'd encourage you, if you're interested in hearing more updates and news. I'm also having a phone conversation with CJ, that's Opera Americano. I'll be talking with her later this week. And the contents of that discussion will also be in my newsletter, which you can find at jedrecord.com. So I encourage you to sign up for that and get the insights on what's going on in the world of social, and particularly with Snapchat. So I look forward to communicating with you further there on that email.
Cool. So yeah, Sarah, final thoughts whilst we wrap up.
My final thoughts are: don't be afraid of Snapchat. Hop on, give it a go. You need to give it 2 solid weeks. If you don't post a snap every day, then you haven't given it 2 weeks. And if you need help, ask. And it's a little bit ADD, but that's okay. That's okay. Just start using
and
it.
It doesn't have to be like planned content. It's not like Instagram where you have to get just the right picture. Just take a snap of your office. Take a snap of you making coffee, of some behind the scenes moment in your life. You're just giving people another chance to get to know you a little bit better on a new network. Yeah,
and I know, like we major on the storytelling aspect, and it's important. But I know for me, I didn't really start focusing on storytelling until maybe the last month or so, and I've been on there a number of months now. But I didn't want to put that pressure on myself. I literally just put random snaps up for a really long time. And it's only now that I'm like, how can I tell this story a little bit better? And you'll start to get quicker at that, because you'll go to take a snap and you're like, all right, I'll quickly put this snap up first with a little bit of text to give context or something like that, or to make people lean in a little bit more, that kind of thing, create anticipation. But yeah, don't overthink it, and don't put pressure on yourself to be the best of the best. It's just a bit of fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh,
so,
one more thing.
Yep.
Put your snap code everywhere. In the last few weeks, I only have it on these shows and Instagram. And in the last few weeks, I'm getting so many followers every day. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm going to start keeping a document, because it's getting to that kind of place where it's getting hard to count. So
I think that's also a sign that the platform is people are really jumping on. And so that's another reason why, if you're in marketing, you need to become familiar with this platform.
Yeah.
So where have you been promoting your snap code that's been successful for you? Instagram?
Yeah, I've only done it once on Instagram, so you'd have to go through my feed to find it, and then it's just been on Blab as well. So
okay,
and I'm getting probably 50-50 people who add me by Snap.
To me, it was very gratifying to my.
I'm getting 50-50 people who add me by Snapcode and by username. It's probably bordering a little bit more on Snapcode now, so it's worthwhile throwing through all your other social media.
Yeah, I mean, for me, mine is pretty much everyone has added from Snapcode, like very few people coming in from by name, only like a handful of people. But yeah, that's it. I mean, the Snapcode makes it super simple. I know a lot of people are changing like their profile pictures on various platforms to have it for a little while just so that they get, people get to know that they're on Snapchat as well. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, keeping to the show parameters, we're going to jump off. If anyone wants to have a chat, I am free to hang about for about another 15 minutes as well. So if anyone wants to do that, don't forget the links are all there for all of the previous shows. If you want to watch and catch any of those, so please subscribe to the show. We haven't announced the topic yet, but we'll announce it in the middle of the week through the hashtag. So keep an eye on that. There's a whole load of links for you there. Thanks a lot, guys, for jumping in. Really appreciate everybody who's spent the time here. Hope that you've got some value out of it. Thanks to Sarah for being awesome and being here every single week to host with me. Thanks again to Jed for jumping in to drop some knowledge bombs on Snapchat. Like I said, we're going to leave the seat open when we close the recording. So if anyone wants to jump in and quickly ask some questions or give some feedback, we'd love to hear what you've got to say. And we'll catch you here same time next